talk. You're listening to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. You know, Afghanistan is having elections. They had elections yesterday. 60 people were killed. I mean, I've seen different death totals, but the lowest number I've seen is 47. Highest number is at 60. 60 killed trying to conduct elections. You know, and that does not happen in the United States of America. Now, we might get some intimidation at the polls. We saw that with the Black Panthers in Philadelphia, but nobody got shot. Nobody got killed having an election. And that, again, is just the impossibility, I believe, of building any kind of a democratic form of government in a Muslim land. You know, one of the issues we've got right now that not a lot of people are talking about, but we sent a whole batch of weaponry to Iraq that's there right now. I mean, the Sunnis are trying to get into Baghdad. Apparently, they've been held off from the latest I've seen. But I want you to think for a minute about the kind of weaponry that we have right now in Baghdad that we've sold to the Iraqis. You've got Humvees. You've got 500 Hellfire missiles, 24 Apache helicopters, F-16 fighter jets. We have reconnaissance helicopters, helicopter-fired rockets, sniper rifles, M16, M4 assault rifles, and 200 MVs we're planning to sell to Iraq for $1 billion. Now, they're in the hands of the Iraqi government right now that we propped up and put in place. But remember, when these Sunnis, the Iraqi military, they dropped their arms, they dropped their weapons, and they ran. I mean, this could be a monstrous weaponizing excursion for the Muslims there. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Let's go to Chuck in Charlotte, North Carolina. Chuck, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, Brian?
Good. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. I just want to say God bless you. God bless your show and your listeners.
Thank you.
One thing I wanted to say, and nobody's touched on this, was all the equipment that we sent to Syria.
Yeah.
Supporting of overthrowing the government there. That was training those people that we supported. That's our tax dollars at work. And I just want everyone to remember that this shouldn't be a surprise. We funded this.
Yes.
And I mean, it's sad to say, but we funded this, and this shouldn't be a surprise. And to give you an idea on what kind of people we're dealing with over there, just remember this is the first time we've had an outbreak of Kuru, K-U-R-U, in recent history, which is a disease of cannibalism. It's basically the human equivalent of mad cow disease. And you can look that up on the internet, and you will see that there was an outbreak in Syria. And you know, this is something we got to look forward to. This is how they have any respect for humanity.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think all we can do, Chuck, we cannot change the nature of Islam because it comes from the heart of Satan himself until he is committed to the lake of fire. When Jesus returns, he's going to be loose. He's on a long chain, but he's loose. He's going to be out and about. So we're going to be dealing with this satanically inspired religion until Jesus returns. And that means all we can do is protect ourselves from it. We've got to contain it. We've got to wall it up inside the Middle East as best we can. We've got to come to the aid of our aid Israel. We've got to give them help. I'm perfectly prepared to support military intervention on behalf of Israel. They're our only ally. They're a part of the same faith tradition that we're a part of, the Judeo-Christian tradition coming from our common father, Abraham. I'm perfectly prepared to do that. But other than that, we need to build a wall to contain Islam, and we need to keep it out of the United States. Now, there's not much we can do about what's already here. May not be a lot we can do about it, but we can turn off the tap, we can cap the well, and keep that contaminated toxin from flooding in to the United States. And give you an idea what these, the number, by the way, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Thanks for the call, Chuck. And what these Islamists do, this gives you an idea what they do when they get control. As they're taking control of cities on their way to Baghdad, they are instituting Sharia law. And here's one example of the Sharia law that they have imposed in cities less than 30 miles outside of Baghdad. All Muslims in the city have been instructed to attend mosque for the 5 daily prayers. Any one of its members who breach this promise will have their hands cut off. So you don't go to mosque 5 times a day. You're going to have your hands cut off. All shrines, graveyards, and monuments are going to be destroyed. That's a Sharia law deal. All women must dress in concealing clothing that preserves decency. Females only should go outside, quote, if necessary. Again, that is the essence of Sharia law. You know, the interesting thing that, and just the insanity of our policy. The guy that's leading this charge into Baghdad, we had this guy in custody in 2005, and we let him go. His name is Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. We had him. We had him at a prison camp called the Bucca camp, B-U-C-C-A. I don't know how you say that exactly. But we had him, and we let him go. And the last thing he said on his way out the door in 2009 when we let him go, Camp Bucca, "I'll see you guys in New York." Maybe he was joking. Maybe he was not. But we let him go. We had him. We let him go. Now he's the guy that's leading the charge into Baghdad at the head of this Al-Qaeda army. And he's made a pledge, told our guys, look, after we get done in Iraq and Syria, we are coming to you in New York City. And we discovered, got a story here that one of the Talibanis that we released, that we captured in Afghanistan, one of the guys that we released is a guy by the name of Mullah Muhammad Fazl. He was the battlefield commander of the inmates at the compound where the first American casualty, where we lost our first American in Afghanistan. He was a guy by the name of Mike Spann. He was there working with the CIA. He was interrogating captured Taliban fighters. The camp was overrun, and he was killed by the Taliban. And the guy that was the head of the forces that killed him is one of the guys that we let go for Bo Bergdahl. By the way, still nobody's seen hide nor hair of him. The media can't get within miles of him. I read a story from a local affiliate in my hometown of Boise, Idaho. They've got a team down there at that base in San Antonio waiting to talk to him. They have been ordered to stay 300 yards away from the facility where he is being held. So all that's going on. One other story before we go to the phones. A memo now has surfaced from the State Department that was sent to the State Department by the Defense Department's Africa Command 2 days after the Benghazi attack. 2 days after the Benghazi attack. This is before Ben Rhodes writes the emails, all the fault of the video, before Susan Rice goes out and lies through her teeth on 5 Sunday morning programs, from the Defense Department, from the Army AFRICOM, Africa Command, identifying 11 suspects with ties to Al-Qaeda. This is 2 days after the attack. They'd already fingered 11 guys. They connected them to Al-Qaeda. These are the guys that are responsible. This is 2 days after the attack, September 13. So this is before they Hillary Clinton cooked up this video thing, before Susan Rice. It means the State Department knew, because this was a memo to the State Department. They knew for an absolute fact that it was Al-Qaeda and not some kind of mob reaction to a video. All right, let's grab a couple of phone calls to round out the program. Let's go to Stephen in Arkansas. Stephen, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hello.
Hey.
I had 2 points, really. The first one is that it seems that since World War II, America has lost its will to actually fight a war. We wouldn't have had this issue in Iraq or Afghanistan. We wouldn't have had any issues if we fought it the way we fought the Japanese and the Germans in World War II. I mean, we tried to fight a nice war, is what we tried to do. We tried to, make nice instead of conquering and then rebuilding and letting them see that we aren't as bad as they thought we were. And the second one is unfortunately, this is coming from my Christian perspective, Sharia law is probably preferable to what we have right now. The blatant sexuality, the killing of babies, they don't allow that in Sharia law. So as far as that's concerned, they're probably a little bit more just than we are.
Well, the interesting thing, Stephen, is that when Muslims around the world complain about the United States, they always talk about the decadence, and one of the main things they mention is the amount of pornography that is produced in the United States and then shipped overseas. And so they rightly accuse the United States of corrupting the morality of the entire world. And it's just embarrassing. It's humiliating that we have given them that. How do we argue against that? We can't. I mean, when they go out there and say the United States is the great Satan because of all the pornography it produces, how do you argue against that? Because they are right that is the work of Satan. We're producing it. We're distributing it all around the world. They have every right to complain about that. So again, as we've drifted from our cultural moorings, from our values, we're creating problems for ourselves as well as for the rest of the world. All right, that's an excellent call, Stephen. Thank you for that. Last call of the day. Let's go to Karen in Richmond. Karen, got about a minute left. What's on your mind?
Okay. And this will speak to Stephen's question about the morality. President Thomas Jefferson warned us about these people. He had the Quran printed and distributed, but this was to a Christian nation. We were built on Christian roots. Today we are a secular place. And may I remind everybody that the rubbernecks, the Marines, were created to fight these people. He knew they were dangerous. And today, we've, like you say, let them in here. They have passports, and they don't buy what we're selling because it's putrid. We're a secular nation now. We've been overtaken. I mean, I think the majority of us are believers, but we've been overtaken by secular humanism, and they don't like what we're selling. So.
All right, Karen, listen, it's hard for me to disagree with anything you said there. Obviously, Karen is right. The great crying need is for revival to come to this land. We need to recover our spiritual center and our moral compass before we can be any use to anybody around the world. Well, that's it for today. Don't forget to bow low before God. We'll see you tomorrow. Focal Point AFR Talk.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast